Paul, if I could ask you, I know you're probably going to write, but if I could ask you to just publish the module when we say, okay, it's time to write, if you wouldn't mind doing that. I don't know if you,
Cool.
Okay, either you do it or I do it. I'm not, you may not be an administrator for now. All right,
No
fantastic. All right, so here is the speed dating with the Data Governance Specialist exam. And here is the the CDMP set of exams from the cdmp.info screen from website, and you can see there's data modeling, metadata, data quality, data governance, data warehousing, reference and master data, and DII. So there's 7. I know that data architecture is still trying to come along. We're still trying to give it birth and get it going. So there's nothing there at the moment, but we can certainly help you prepare for that if you are interested. Okay, so these are the set of questions that I get lots of people asking me. What 2 specialist exams should I do? Okay, now that I've done my fundamentals, I certainly recommend that you should not do the specialist exams until you've done the fundamentals. And just to explain to you why, when you see some of the questions in the specialist exams, they almost have 20 marks that relate the specialist exam you're dealing with, DG, to other knowledge areas. Okay, so you want to have that information. And data governance is one of the harder ones where it has basically a governance section on every single knowledge area. So jumping in and doing data governance without doing the fundamentals is, it's a bit of a waste of time. And you'll do a lot better if you've achieved those fundamental ones. Okay. So I think that's, Mariela, that's a question you're asking. Lovely to see you from Venezuela. So you would choose the fundamentals, and then what I do is they say, okay, what role are you currently performing? And then we also ask questions in terms of where would you like to be? So would you like to be going in via the management route towards the CDO, or would you want to go specialist, thought leader? And then that helps you choose some of the specialist exams that you're looking for. Okay. Now, the next challenge we have in specialist exams is the structure of the specialist exam. And I'm sure you've all seen, whenever we do the fundamentals course, you'll see that there's a set of 11 mark questions, 11, yeah, and then 10, and then 8 and 6 and 2. Okay, and we can give you an exact ranking. So basically the bottom line is, please don't go and spend 2 weeks or 2 months on big data and data science. It's 2 marks. Okay. Are you going to get a return on investment on spending all that time in big data? It will be great and you'll learn a lot, but it's not going to help you a lot for the exam. Okay. The fundamental exam. You will find that when we go into data warehouse and BI, there's quite a few more big data questions in there. And then the next one is to actually recognize the level of question that you're dealing with. And that's an important skill. Just to say, okay, I'm probably dealing with a master level one over here, so it may help with Veronica's technique on guessing and flagging and not spending too much time trying to work it out. So it's helpful for you to have an understanding of what you're dealing with. Also, if you want to search, you will find that those associate level marks or anything up to 60%, typically you can find it by doing a control F. I do recommend that you download Adobe, so your DMBOK is in Adobe. Its search facilities are a lot better than Edge or anything like that, or Chrome. So use the Adobe program to do your searching. Okay. All right, then what we are going to do today is we're actually going to take you through the sample quizzes. We're going to do some questions with you and then the exam technique. So we're just going to set up 10 minutes. So once I've explained to you the structure of data governance, I'm going to give you a test example or a sample quiz, and then we'll have a little bit of a discussion afterwards in terms of how did you find it, where the challenges are, and do you agree with some of my comments about the data governance exam? Okay, so going through the fundamentals exam, this is just a recap for those of you that haven't done it, but it's also helpful to understand. Remember the different levels, and it's all about passing, okay? So if you do the fundamentals and you get between 60 and 69, you will get a CDMP associate for fundamentals. And I just want to pause there because until you've got all three, that mark for your CDMP stays at associate level until you get all three of them. And then if you get between 70 and 79 for the fundamentals and the other two specialists, you then get a practitioner level. And then a master's means 80% in the fundamentals, 80% and higher, and in all of the two specialist exams. So this is, you'll see here that, and during my deck, I actually suggest that don't be scared to rewrite. Quick disclosure, it took me 3 times to get, I think it was 88% or whatever it was in my master's. Now, Veronica did a fantastic job. I think she got it first time, but she's got a special knack for understanding multiple choice questions. So if you're not like her and you battle with things like me, then the potential of rewriting is very high. Okay, so here is the structure of the data management fundamentals exam. So remember I said that there are there are 4 at 11 marks, and then there are 10 chapters at 10 marks, and then we got the 6 and the 2s. Okay. Now, this is what your final master certificate will look like. There's only 110 in the world at the moment. Unfortunately, we have 2, Veronica and myself, and we're waiting for Mr. Bolton to arrive and join us. Not so, Paul. When are we going to have that? He's quiet.
I promise soon.
Okay, great. And then I think Mark Skipper is going to follow as well. But we'd love to, guys, if we can certainly encourage you and help you get there, we'll spend as much time as we can. Veronica's got some fantastic tips and tricks. And then what you'll do is, as you write the exam and complete the exam, you can log on to badger.io and get the badge for the exam that you've written. Okay, and here you can see that this is an associate for the data management fundamentals. And then I've got a practitioner, and then there's a master level pass, and then there's also associate, practitioner, and master level for the other 2 specialist exams, giving you a complete 80% for your CDMP certification, and then you have to submit a CV to get that authorized and approved. So there's a bit of a catch here, and I think there's a cost to it as well, Veronica, if I'm not wrong, something like $50 or something like that, where they review your CV. There's a cost.
Yes, it's 50.
Okay.
$50.
So don't be like me and you pay everything and say, when am I going to get it? And then it's like, pay your $50. It's like, oh dear. Okay, now we've got some warning points on all of your exams. These are the warning points. Okay. And specifically for the fundamentals, there are DMBOK version 1 questions. And initially Veronica and I were getting quite frustrated with the questions, because it's like, but we should be testing version 2, not version 1. And they've got a special way of wording it so that they refer to the DMBOK version 1. And the tricky questions are the ones, for example, in the types of metadata that change between version 1 and version 2. So how many times do we get that wrong? We say, you've only got 3 types of metadata in version 2, which is business, technical, and operational. And in version 1, they have process metadata as well. Okay, now what we have done is we've sort of gone through the list and we've taken some screenshots of the DMBOK version 1 section in the document that helps you answer those questions that we've discovered. So if you need some help, tell us and we'll show you those different screenshots. Okay, There are negative questions using not, where you need to find the option which doesn't fit. And then we've got some negative questions that have a double negative. Now, the ruling was, and when you set the exams, they tried to avoid these as much as possible, but some of them are still there. And you have to just be careful of them. We also have some scenarios where you get a true and false answer, and that's wrong. You should have the right answer and then 4 distractors that are wrong, and it can't just be the 2 true and false. Okay. Be very careful of this. Mark Skipper can attest to this, and we're still not sure why. But if you have some communication failures, and your internet is not stable, what happens is that the honor system, because it's taking a video, it almost it takes you away from the exam, but it does not pause the timer. Okay. And what will happen is when you come back again and you see there's like the time has moved on. So you've lost 20 minutes fiddling around or trying to get something right with Honorlock. And that's typically because most of the times what you're finding is that your internet speed drops to a level that Honorlock can't work. We have tried to. We've sent a message saying, please, can we do something about it? So if Honorlock does detect that you've got an internet problem, please can it just pause the exam? It's not really your fault. Okay. Now, in the beginning, when you're taking a video of your desk, go slowly, make sure you remember you can only have one hard copy and one second machine. So you want to make sure that here's my hard copy, here is my other machine, and they can see that very clearly. And if you use a hard copy, do not have a second device. Okay, so be careful of that. And then if you use the PDF on your second device, you're not allowed a book on the desk. Okay, now, whilst they say that these are the rules, whether they can actually detect it or not, I'm not sure. But we've had a few people lately, almost in the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've had several people come to us to say, their question, the results have been put on hold, they're busy pausing and reviewing the video. So it's a stressful time, and if you can avoid it, that would be great. Okay, success criteria. Okay. First of all, for the fundamentals, there's that Excel spreadsheet of 321 questions. Please do not write your exam if you haven't done that question bank. If you don't know it off by heart, you should be able to answer all 321 in an hour and get 100%. And if you do that, I promise you'll get between 60 and 65% just on those 321 questions. Then it's about getting that next 15% to get to your master's. And I'm assuming all of you would like to get a master's. And especially when you get the 60 to 65%, then that journey or the difference to the master's is not too bad. Okay, the DMBOK summary notes, those are very helpful. That's stuff that Veronica put together in terms of summarizing the DMBOK. So what we try to suggest as well is whilst you're studying, and you're writing the questions, go from your question to the DMBOK summary notes. If you can't find it there, go to the DMBOK. We also have the DMBOK mind maps that give you an overview and a summary of the elements that you're dealing with. Also very helpful. Okay. All right. Now, the exam techniques. Okay, so what I like to do is to have my phone, and I set my phone on a timer to 60 minutes, and I do the first pass through of the exam, and I try to get that done in 60 minutes. Now, there's a special thing on the first pass is that please don't do lookups and searching on your first pass. You will waste a whole lot of time. Especially if you're doing the standard version and not the ESL, which is the English as a second language. You basically got 1 minute a mark just over. I think there's 100 questions and you get 110 minutes. So you've got just over a minute per mark. And if you start messing around and looking and searching, you could be wasting 3-4 minutes. Okay, and then you're going to put yourself under lots and lots of pressure. Okay, so the first 60 minutes is get through everything. If you're not sure, flag the question and we'll show you how to do that, and then guess and then move on. Okay, there's no negative marking, so you're not going to lose out if you don't win. Okay, so just to get Mark going, Monica, won't you just share the registration link with Mark? If you can put it in the chat, that will be great. Mark's trying to get registered on Canvas with a course. All right, read the questions carefully. Don't rush. There we go. Eliminate the obviously wrong distractors. Some of them are rubbish and you can pick it up quickly. And then you may have one or two, well, typically not one, but you may have two then that you're left with, and it's a whole lot easier to flag and guess those ones rather than spend time on all of them. Okay. Be wary of the words always and never. They quick catches, those ones. And then one that we'd like to also add here is they have that all of the above. Sometimes they have a distractor or an answer which is all of the above. Most of the times that one's the right one, unless you can find an obviously wrong distractor. And then all of the above tends to be the one that we go for. Okay. So these are the ones that we're just trying to give you some techniques on how to guess and how to go through it a lot quicker. Okay, be careful of the not and false. Take some time, just reread it and go through a little bit carefully. Once you've done it all, then you can use Canvas to jump to the set of questions that you need to get to that you've flagged. Okay, so you don't need to go through everything. You can jump, go through them again. And then what we also would like to recommend is if you have a technical problem with your internet or whatever it is, write an email to support@cdmp.info immediately and just notify them that you've had some problems. And when they go through the review, at least you've got that email to back you up as to what's happening. All right, so this is our way of doing. Once you've done the course or you spend time or you've done the DIY, what I recommend to you is please stop reading the book. I know that shouldn't really say that, but stop reading the book and start with the tests and use the tests to check to see whether you understand the content or not. So here's the approach. Briefly review a topic area. We've got some refresher slides. So go through the refresher slides on data modeling. Then complete the questions, the practice questions. Okay, then when you have an error, when you have a problem, then go back to your books and go back to Excel books, summaries and stuff like that. Find the answer, understand where you're going wrong, review it again afterwards, and then summarize the content. So this is a very helpful approach because if you continue to read the DM book, I don't think you'll ever finish. Okay. I've seen people go through like almost 16 weeks of preparation, and then when they get to week 5 or 6, they're already starting to forget week 1 or whatever it is, and it just takes too long to get through. So do that upfront preparation, then start with the practicing of the questions. Okay, so these are all practice questions. Basically follow the priority 11, 10, 6, and 2. Review the knowledge area using the summary workbook, and then perform the practice question. Okay. And what we would recommend is that you don't want to be spending more than 3 weeks on this. I know, Paul, from yourself, I don't know how long you spent, but I don't think you spent more than 3 weeks and you managed to get your master's. Is that's correct?
Yeah, I wasn't a great example. I got, I
think you cut off.
No, saying, yeah, after 2 weeks, I just said, no, I got to do it. So
Right. Okay.
on the Friday
Not
night,
a
I did
problem.
it. I did the 321 questions. And then after that, I said, no, that's enough. And I went that night at 9 o'clock and I did it. Yeah. Cool.
All right, Mark, you can actually see it's on the chat just above. There's a QR code. Do you want the you're battling with the you want the link? Okay. All right. Okay, thanks, Paul. Okay, then what we suggest is do your training, then 1 to 2 weeks, go through this 321, complete the 321 in an hour, get 100%. Then what my recommendation is, go to the CDMP practice exam. All right, there's a CDMP practice exam. You should be getting 100% in 20 minutes. Okay. So as soon as you've got that second test and you're doing well on the practice exam, now you're ready to write the exam. Okay. So there's just a flow that you should use to go through and make sure that you're ready for that exam, and that's going to help you get your masters that you're looking for. Okay. All right, data governance. Okay, so one of the problems that you have is, and I'm sure you may have done some searches and looking around, but I spent days, maybe 3 or 4 days, trying to understand what are the categories and what are the percentage marks. Okay, and then it was a case of what did they stand for. So a great example, and we'll get to that next week on data quality, they have a section on business case. It's like, okay, what is a business case? Is that the data quality strategy? Is it the justification? Where is that in the DMBOK? And I'd love to know if has anyone tried or know where in the DMBOK in the data quality section they can find the business case section. Okay, but anyway, let's go through it again. So what you can see here is we have our major sections for data governance: the activities, the best practice, the definitions, organization roles and responsibilities, and then the relationships with the other knowledge areas or the other disciplines. Those are your major areas of the data governance exam. Okay, then we have our minor elements, which is data governance program, the setting up of the program, and then ethics. Okay, and then you've got these ones in between: goals, maturity assessment, and standards. Okay, you'll see every now and again that I do reference Chris Bradley's course. I did attend it just to get an understanding of all these things, and I'm hoping I can share this with some of you people so that you don't always have to attend those courses. Okay, are there any questions on the exam categories? And I'm sure your first question is going to be, well, what do you mean by best practice? Okay, what do you mean? And we know that there's goals. We know that what the activities are, what the definitions are, but what would best practice be? Okay. Any questions? Has anyone got any questions there? Okay. All right, so let's go. Then remember I said it's understanding the question difficulty that you're dealing with. Okay, so we have associate level difficulty, okay, and that is the DMBOK content and the understanding of the content. Okay, so it would, for example, talk about a centralized operating model that is in the DMBOK, that is in the chapter 3, and you got 60% of those questions that are just content related. Okay, and this is where the searching comes in handy. And of course, even with the data governance exam, still go through that 321 sections, those 321 questions. Okay, you must prep yourself to have the foundations sorted out. Okay. Then we have the next level, which we call our practitioner level difficulty, and that's the practical application of the DMBOK. That's for 20%. And then we've got our master level difficulty, and this is knowledge expected of professionals with 10 plus years of practical experience in the topic. As I said, Veronica was able to get her master's pass, and Veronica doesn't have the 10 years of experience. And so sometimes it's about understanding the questions and understand how to ask them, and then proper searching. Search on the tools that you need to use to search engines to get some answers. And even now with Bing and BART and stuff like that, there's some interesting level helpers that you can find to get an understanding. I had a question, for example, which was on social licensing. I really couldn't get much out of Google, and I used one of those fancy engines that gave me a really nice example and an explanation of what it was all about, and then I could guess. Okay, so let's go through some of the sections. The first section is the activities. Okay, what are the activities of data governance? Okay, and these are the activities that generally produce the deliverables. Okay, remember in the context diagram, activities produce the deliverables. So one of the things that is very important, one of the top things, and this is the message that comes through on a lot of the data governance, is the communication. Communication, awareness, desire, telling everybody what's going on, making sure they all understand, and then trying to get this common understanding and behavior. Communication is a big deal in data governance. Okay. Then we talk about the critical components of the data governance strategy. Okay. Remember the charter, the roadmap, and those different areas. Then metadata, and specifically the business glossary in terms of how much the business glossary enables data governance to operationalize it and then link everything together. Everything from data modeling to DII to CDEs, data quality, all of those things, it stems and comes from the business glossary. That's the area you start with in the beginning. Then we also got critical establishment tasks. So just as a quick example, Paul, what are the first things that you do when you set up a data management office? What, as a data governance team, what would be the first things that you do? Picking on Paul today.
Data maturity assessment.
Yeah, you'll do a maturity assessment. You'll do a strategy, you'll understand the operating model, and then define the policies and procedures, right? That's your core focus. When you start a DMO or that's the area that you've got to get going. So this is basically, you've almost got that quick run that you want to do and get this thing set up as quickly as possible and ready for success. Okay, data stewardship. Okay, what we're then trying to do is make sure our stewards that are going to operationalize data governance, and those are one of the risky areas. Operationalization of data governance is not easy. Okay, we then have to spend, as practitioners, we have to spend time making sure our stewards understand the activities, know how to enforce them, know how to apply them, and know how to become part of the data management process. Okay. The next one that's really important is supporting compliance. Of course, data governance needs to make sure that we're in the game and we're understanding all the different areas. And then the incremental roadmap. Okay, so you're not going to perfect data governance in 6 months. Okay, you're going to have a roadmap where you deliver procedures using your use cases from your data strategy. If anyone is interested, I can show that and I can help you with that a little bit later on or at some other stage. Okay, then we had those two areas, standards and best practice. So here are some of the best practices. Okay, your operating model must be aligned to your business operating model and your culture. Data governance role. Do you clearly understand the data governance role in building the data strategy? The data governance role in all of the knowledge areas, specifically data science, and then the other one is risk management and security classification. Okay, then understanding key principles and things like data anonymization. Okay, now what I liked what Chris did is say, well, I've got the best practices. What are the worst practices? Okay, so trying to solve world hunger or boil the ocean, trying to get everything done, the Goldilocks systems, too much or too little, putting too much onto the committee, the steering committee, not implementing. Okay, so that roadmap or that incremental roadmap is critical, because if you just keep talking for 6 months, everyone's going to get tired of your talking and no deliverables, no added value. Okay. Not dealing with change management, just thinking that if I buy Informatica and technology, sorry, Mark, okay, then I'm going to be at a level 3 defined. Okay. And that was a joke, Mark. Building sustainable, not building sustainable and ongoing processes, and ignoring the data shadow systems. Okay, so for example, this is helpful when you set up an operating model. If your BI team is not able to stand up and support all of the different business units, try to do one or two things. Almost make BI or reporting, self-service analytics, make it business-led. Okay, so actually federate some level of reporting or the BI side to the business people. Okay, So don't you try to do everything. The business people can help you. All right. Then the definitions. What are the definitions? So this is what is data governance? Okay, we know the data governance is shared decision making over the management of data assets, but Gwen Thomas takes a different view. She talks about it as a system of decision rights and accountability, roles and responsibilities. Who's got the mandate? Okay. Then she talks about the data management, 5 wives and 1 husband. The where does it happen? What happens? When does it happen? Who does it? How does it happen? Those areas need to be dealt with. Chris Bradley is also very focused on managing and improving data for stakeholder benefit. Okay, it's all about business value. Aaron Zones, he talks about leveraging data as an asset using people, process, and technology. And then data governance is basically saying that governance is a quality control discipline for managing, using, improving, and protecting data. So that's the way they see it. They see it as we have an assurance role. We ensure that we get the right level of data that is trustworthy. Okay. Then, as part of the definitions, there's another thing which is called what creates the demand. Okay, so what leads to data governance? So one of the challenges that we get is we have these siloed applications. With the siloed applications, we've got challenges with our master data, and so we have to, and especially when it's shared, we have to share the data. Now we start picking up incorrect definitions by application. So they call that application centric. Okay. And that thinking of we just keep on adding more and more applications to deal with the business problems, that's application centric. We need to convert the organization to data centric. They're not just going to run there, especially your CIOs that are all about delivering business functionality. It's all about applications. Let's go on creating code and development and stuff like that. And we're now saying, whoa, let's go business, data, technology, and that causes some challenges with the IT. Okay. Silo data governance functions. Okay, so if we try to implement it in one area and we don't have an enterprise-wide approach. Okay, so sometimes it's helpful just to get it going in one area, show the success, and then apply it. But sometimes you can get stuck in getting success and having these silo data governance implementations across the organization. The next one, that's the driver, aggregating and dealing with consolidated information. Enterprise data warehouse, great example of that. Business definitions. When we start picking up that our understanding of those KPIs and the business measurements and all those things, we've got different understanding. These are the drivers. These are the examples of drivers, and you'll see questions that relate to it as you go through it. Okay, this is the aspect on roles and responsibilities, and I'm seeing that I'm taking a bit too long here to get through all of this. These are the core elements on roles and responsibilities. Understanding the existing business operating model. Remember, I said it's critical that your operating model is aligned with the business operating model. Yes, I've got a hand. Senthil. Not hearing you. Not hearing you. Okay. Oh, okay, no problem. Okay, then we've got, remember the different data steward types. Everything starting from executive data steward, data owner, data steward, coordinating data steward, all of these, you must understand those types. The primary roles of a data steward, the primary focus. So just as a quick question here, who can, just in the chat, tell me what's the primary focus of a data steward? Okay, and that's going to be an interesting challenge. Then what's the role of data governance? Okay, so now Crystalline. Yes, Crystalline.
Oh, no, sorry. I was just going to ask a question, but go ahead. I'll ask later.
Okay, no, you can ask it now.
Okay, sorry, when you set up these different governance structures, okay, I know
Yes.
federated and I think I can't remember what's the other one, centralized,
centralized, hybrid, decentralized, replicated, yes.
Yeah, my question is how much, I know I've seen a few questions and I think a lot of them are around federated, but do they tend to ask you a lot of questions about these structures?
Yes, they do. They do ask you in terms of some of the pros and cons of the different challenges that you're facing. And then why would you choose this way or that way, and then how to go about setting it up. So they do.
Okay, thanks, Howard.
Okay, then we have what's the role of the data governance specialist? Okay, and it's about training and guiding the data steward. Okay. All right, then we've got communicating for awareness and desire, very critical. We've got our where do we place our data governance program? So now that, and especially if we go into a global structure or a federated environment, where are the placements across the different knowledge areas as well? There we see, I've got some questions coming on. So that somebody's answering saying data stewards are responsible for defining data and identifying the assets. Yes, that's correct. Then we've got a specific difference between data governance and data management. Yes. Really what we are saying is data governance is doing, are we doing the right things? They should answer that, and data management are doing things right. And I'll show you a diagram. And what's the difference between primary role and focus? Okay, so the actual answer to the primary focus is data stewards should be focusing on the roles on data governance, getting the definitions right, and the data quality. That's their primary focus. Yes, they will go into doing conceptual models and latency definitions and things like that and requirements, but their primary focus is data governance, data quality. Okay. I'm hoping that answers your questions between role and focus. Then their role is going to be what are basically the activities and the responsibilities that they need to carry out. And you know, if I can share at some stage the different roles, and that's certainly something we go through on the course. Okay. Then we've got what are the different knowledge area requirements on data stewards? So what do data modelers need from a data steward? Okay. Of course, they need the business rules. They need the business definitions. Should this be null? What are the rules? What are the relationships and that? Okay. What does data quality need the data steward? Well, first thing is data quality expectations. What does metadata need? What is data integration? They talk about latency. That's the data stewards typically provide the answers of business requirements to the technical people or the practitioners. Okay, program and scope. So how do we achieve an incremental rollout of our operating model of the different areas? How do we handle the change and communications? Are we ready? Do we do an assessment on that? Operating model components, different aspects of the operating model. And then besides the placement of where we're going to put our program, we must also be focusing on strategic alignment. And then we have this concept of assessments and benchmarking. How do we compare? How do the different business units compare to each other? How do we compare to our industry? How do we compare in the global and international stage? Okay, that's program and scope. Here is our data management assessments, the core elements, 5 levels of maturity, as is, including desired and required states, identify improvements, and then give me a phased implementation map. And then what's also important, and we do that on our how-to data governance courses, we actually show you how to do a maturity assessment. And then you need to answer those 5 questions. What has happened? Where am I now currently? Why is it happening? Why am I still stuck on a level 1, level 2? When will we be ready? Okay, what do we need to do? And you need to be able to answer those questions. Okay. All right, so now let's go to the data governance specialist. So I'm going to do a 10-minute quick question on that. Everybody ready? Is there anyone who just needs to get registered before I start? Okay. All right. So, Paul, can you enable those?
I'll do that
Are
right
you
now.
able,
The,
if you can
the
publish
15
it
points,
now?
right? The 15
Can you do
points.
both?
Speed dating.
So,
Okay.
So let me what I'm just going to share with the people. Before you publish it. All right.
Okay.
There's two quizzes here. But both of them are for 10 minutes. Okay. Those who really feel that they know what's going on, here is the specialist master level. So you're going to be doing the quiz in 31. You're going to 31 questions in 10 minutes. If not, we're going to do the speed dating, which is 15 questions in 10 minutes. So choose which one you want. If you're keen just to get an understanding of those different types of questions and the categories, choose the big one and see where you land up. Of course, when we do the training, we'll go through these in detail and we'll talk about all of them. So let's start. Are there any questions? Paul, if you could publish that, that would be fantastic. So, Christeline, the quiz is just going to be available for today, for the next 15 minutes, and then we'll close them. Okay. So certainly when we do the training, we open the questions for 3 or 4 weeks afterwards, where you can go through the questions and I think, Christeline, you did it with us. We'll open that up, and I think you've done the data governance with us, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I have, thanks.
Okay, so we'll give you access to that. Then you can, they'll be there for you.
Oh, thanks.
Okay. All right, so guys, you can go for it. If you'd like to. So I'm going to pause if there's anyone who'd like to ask questions whilst the people are writing. And then what we'll do is, once it's finished, then we'll just have a quick review and a wrap up on what did you think of the questions, what was tricky, what wasn't. Don't be embarrassed about if you don't do too well. It's not a problem. This is what we're trying to do, is we're just trying to see how you're doing. Okay. Go. So if you wouldn't mind putting up your hand when you've finished, you can just tell me that you finished. That would be fantastic. So I can just get an idea of people completing. Oh, nice. 12 out of 15. Fantastic. Well done, Cannon. Can you tell us what's your comments? Any comments from you? Helen, you might want to attempt that 31-minute, the 31 questions. If you'd like to. You can do both of them. Okay, Amal, there's these. So if you go to the front section, Amal, you will see that there are the 2 quizzes. I'm busy going there now. Well, if you choose either the one with 15 points, that's the easy one, and then this is the harder one, which is the 31 points. So choose one of the quizzes, and if you do one of the quizzes, that would be great. Make sense? Oh, Andrew got 15. Nice. Excellent. Well done. Okay. Glad you made it. Oh, great. Oh, Jackson. Paul, I think you're probably writing it. I'm not sure. You can ask for them to send you your password, Margaret. So when you get onto the password, you can just say request a new password and it will send it to you. Okay, sure. We've got M has done well. Oh, yes. Okay. Not sure how to say your name, Masik. Yes? You finished. Is that a finished?
Yeah, I finished. It's magic. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you, Magic. Did you finish the big one? Or was it M? Are you the M? Nice. Jane, nice. Okay, there we go. Not many people attempted the big one. There's one person that did it. That's very hard. That really requires a lot of effort on getting through that. Getting through all of them. It can be quite stressful that when you have to push on getting everything through. Okay. Nice, Precious. RuPaul, that's great. All right, so we have got towards the end. You can finish that and we'll close a little bit later. Veronica, I wonder if you can help Margaret. There is a reset password. I'm just not, if you wouldn't mind sending a screenshot, that would be great. All right, so that's the course. I did want to so these are the different sections, and Veronica set them up, set up the questions according to these weightings. Are there any? 15 out of 31. Nice. Great. Manuel, thank you very much. Okay. All right. Are there any comments or questions on the different categories? I think it's important. What I'm really trying to get through to you is the categories. I don't believe that These questions are almost at the higher grade or at the master level. I think they're more the practitioner. Ah, Raj, well done. 21 out of 30, that's great. Really good. Fantastic. Any comments or observations? Questions? The ethics one is nasty. Okay. All right, so this is where we have the warning points. Okay. And one, yes, Paul. Are you okay?
Oh, to do that under pressure is hectic, man.
Yeah.
Can't read fast.
Yeah.
Anyway, cool.
This is
Thank
the
you.
problem. This is the real problem with the data governance one. You can see the amount of information that's sitting in these questions. So your requirement to read everything and get it done, that's not easy. Okay. GDPR is all over this, all over compliance issues, ethics issues. It's one of the big areas. So you really need to spend some time going through on Ashan, that's great. 21 out of 31, that's good. Spend some time on GDPR. Okay, then it's really helpful to be able to go through it and do the exam. Maybe you don't get your master's, but at least you see the type of questions and what you're dealing with. Okay, it's quite different to that of the fundamentals exam, and so having to rewrite it is a good possibility. Okay. I think you need that superhuman strength or super answer strength that Veronica's got. Okay. It took me three attempts to get my master's. Okay. Yes, they do. Okay. So what are the critical success factors? Okay, first of all, understand the categories. All right, understand the different categories. Then good preparation. So please remember the specialist exam. It deals with all of the DMBOK, the data governance chapter and the related chapters 1, 2, 15, 16, and 17. Okay. So the fundamentals does not deal with 15, 16, and 17. The data governance specialist, you will be asked on 15, 16, and 17. Okay. The other one that's hard is this concept of knowledge area governance. Okay, so Margaret, if Veronica can't deal with it, I'll show you how it works. Then we've got these summary points. This is also very helpful. Can you summarize in the categories, across the categories, activities, best practice? Can you summarize the most important areas on those categories? It's a very helpful thing, and you'll find that understanding is critical. Getting your exam technique right, also very important, and then the willingness to rewrite. So what we do in our data governance courses, we actually spend, it's close on 3 or 4 hours going through the governance of all of the other knowledge areas. So those related disciplines, you're going to get lots of questions there. And it's almost about how does data governance handle data modeling? So what's important that the data steward does the definitions, the business rules? What is that role that we need to enforce? Okay, so here is the training courses that Modelware gives. And you can see there's modeling data, data quality, governing, analyzing, plan. Please remember the plan, the data architecture one is about to be released. We helped set the exam on some of the questions. And then there's the master. Those are the ones that we have available. Okay, so also other recommended training courses. So I've added the 3rd of August just to say these are the costs as at the 3rd of August. So you've got Dataversity and Chris Bradley. They work together. There's their pricing. Okay, it's $1,500 per person for early bird, and then $1,800 after, for late registration. Okay, and then this is per course. So please remember that's for data governance, and then you'll have to do another one for data quality. Fit Academy works in the same way. This is per course, and that's $1,311 for each course. That's the translation into the South African rand. Unfortunately, sorry, I didn't get the SAR. Then we've got Modelware Systems. We do a 3-day and a 2-day course together. Okay, and that's the amount. It's 1030. Paul, shout if I'm wrong. I believe that's the right number. Apologies if I get it wrong. Then we also have that how to govern data, and that's where we can be doing more the practical 5-day where we do show you how to do a maturity assessment. There'll actually be a set of samples on that on how to do the maturity assessment. All right. So that's it for today. I'm hoping you found that useful.
Awesome, thank you,
Anyone,
Adi.
any comments? Questions, comments?
No, I think the breakdown of the sections is very helpful. It's helping me. So thank you.
Yeah, it's a big relief, and you will find that, for example, when we do data modeling, that will be next. There's the set for data modeling. Okay, so very helpful to understand those different areas and where you're going to be spending most of your money, and there you can see the data modeling governance. Okay, so just to confirm. What is the cost? So the cost that we gave on the Modelware Systems one is that's for both. So that Modelware Systems cost is both. It's the 3-day and the 2-day, and you do it all in 1 week, and you get it done. And you can write both after that. Okay. Manuel, did that answer your question on the cost?
Yes, it does. But I was just wondering if I want just the data governance only. Is it possible?
Yes, it is possible. Yes.
Okay.
So if you
Then
reach
you'll
out
just
to
drop us an
Paul,
email and we'll send you those details. Okay.
We do. Thank you.
Does the cost also include exam as well?
No, it doesn't. That just to
Okay, it's
share with you
only
the
for
reason why.
preparation.
Yeah, the reason why is that now I know that what Paul does do is he will get it. He'll get a coupon for you, but that's a $311
Yes.
for the course,
The
and
coupon.
then it's $211 for a rewrite. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Just drop me a mail and I'll
Okay,
send
good.
you all the details. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
Also,
I've dropped
just
my
to
email
share
in
with you.
in the chat.
Share with you, yes. And then just to share with you that Dama South Africa has a sort of give back amount where if you write your practitioner exam or if you write your data governance exam and you get a practitioner pass, then you get in the region of 2,000 Rand. I can't remember the exact numbers. So if you are a Dama South African member, and you pay for the exam yourself. Okay, so so what we do ask you for is a transaction on your credit card or something like that, just to show us that you paid for yourself and it's self-funded. Okay, then we will give you a return on that. So I think it's 1,000 for associate, 2,000 for practitioner, and 4,000 for master pass. Okay.
Fantastic. Thanks.
Okay, so make sure you remember before you write. Okay. That would be great.
Yes. So
All
how
right,
do
guys.
we register?
Sorry?
Also for membership, how do you do membership?
Okay, so I will actually put that on the chat. So basically, if you send a message to membership at dama.org.za, that's Abida who works on that. And I know we'll be starting with Melinda and Paul. They'll be helping out soon. If you send an email there, and please send an email copy to me as well, just so that we can keep in touch, myself or Veronica, and just to notify us that you want to register, and we'll just make sure that the registration gets done.
All right, thank you.
Fantastic. Guys, thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening.
Awesome, Howard. Thank you so much.
Okay,
And
guys.
travel safe tomorrow.
See you soon. See you soon, sir.
Awesome. Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, and Ashan was going to come and visit us for a cup of coffee.
Thank you. This was very useful. Thank you. Bye.
A pleasure. Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers, everybody.